Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning from wherever you are. And the Mandalorian has returned with season 2. And what a first episode it was. Joining me in this stream are the usual suspects, Cousin Cheeto and Zamdalorian. I am, of course, Hando Jobo from the Tatooine region of Saucy Sand People.
Saucy.
Right. And joining us also is a shitty bobblehead, but we're not going to discuss that because and that's now we're demonetized. All right, so Zam, you got your hand up, or you just trying to finger me?
It's not Zamdalorian. It's the Mandalorian. Zamadalorian.
Mandalorian. That's terrible. Zamdalorian is better.
I know. Okay, fine.
All right. So, in this episode, by the way, it's just spoilers. So you've been warned. Spoilers.
Oh yeah.
You've been warned. Spoilers. You've been warned. So don't complain. The 3 people that watch this video, I don't want you complaining about spoilers because obviously this is spoilers. So episode 1 has the Mandalorian looking for another Mandalorian so he can find out where the species of the child are, if they are indeed any more of the child or the yodelings, as we're referring to them.
Yodeling.
And it takes him right back to Tatooine. However, rather than just being at the usual Mos Eisley port, which we do get a brief glimpse of the lady and the droids from one of the weaker episodes of the series, even though Ming Ma Wei was great in that episode. He goes off to another part of Tatooine, a kind of deserted area. And there is supposedly another Mandalorian. Now, of course, you're thinking Tatooine, you're thinking another Mandalorian. Of course, your brain starts firing on all cylinders. You're like, no, can it? Will it? Probably is. But then you're like, it's probably somebody wearing the armor. And lo and behold, that's what it was.
I'm glad.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And under that armor was the actor Tim Oliphant, who's just he's just great. Isn't
What
he?
else is he in? He reminds me.
I Heart 4.
It was in some, I think, Western as well, which I forget what it's called.
He reminds me of a mix between Bill Paxton and Josh Brolin. Like I kept seeing those two right there. Like I'm like, whenever he talks, he sounds like Bill Paxton, and he looked like
he's a great actor, man.
He's a great actor. He even played a hitman in that film. Which I liked the film. I thought it was all right. That Hitman film was a good for a little action film. But anyway, he is of course wearing Boba Fett's armor. Ooh, it did put a little smile on my face when I saw that. More that it was the armor than Boba Fett, because that's how you do it. You don't just fucking chuck Boba Fett in for the sake of it. But it was the armor, and it's Mandalorian armor. It's probably very difficult to digest. Of course, other questions may have remained. Who went into the Sarlacc to retrieve the armor? But we'll get to that later. So before I carry on talking any further, up until this point, guys, what are your thoughts on the episode?
Yeah,
Zan,
I loved it.
With you.
I mean, all of this episode I loved. I just want to go right back to the beginning. With him just walking along on this planet, in this town, in this planet, very deserted, and you just see all those. Well, we never really got an idea, but these sort of space dogs with red eyes and shit kind of reminded me of that creature from Neverending Story, and
the Nothing.
No, that wasn't the Nothing. That was the servant of the Nothing.
Was it?
Oh.
Yeah, the creature was the servant of the Nothing. Yeah, because you never knew the Nothing was just a big hurricane. Anyway, the point is you see that, and that bit plays its part, and you're able to suss it out. But obviously, we get to see a lot of the trailer from the taken in this opening episode. So this opening scene alone with him beating up John Leguizamo's, who's underneath all that shit, the one-eyed guy. That's John Leguizamo.
Oh, that's John Leguizamo under there.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize.
He voiced it as well, and they modulated his voice and stuff like that. And nice. I like the way they opened, because they opened just like they did with episode 1 of season 1, with him just being a badass and taking care of fools. and it was really well done. And I like the way Baby Yoda hid from it all and shit like that. It was a really good opening, and then he hangs up John Luigi's armor upside down and gets the information out of him. And I knew when he said to him, that you will not die from my hand, I still knew that somehow he was going to kill him. In one way or another. And then he shoots the light, and then you put 2 and 2 together. It doesn't get spelled out for you. I love shit like that. It's easy to figure out what's going on there. And what a fantastic opening, and he's been told to go to fucking Tatooine because of that's where you're going to find a Mandalorian. And even though there's an overarching narrative, the story of that ends in Tatooine and another story begins. And I like all of that, but the story could continue next episode or episode after or whatever. But he had to deal with this particular thing first. And I love shit like that. World building, all of that. There's so much going on. It was a great way to start. We get to see, and by the way, sorry for going on. I do apologize, but some of us didn't like last season with some of the filler episodes, but the filler episodes played its part now. You can understand that he's got he can communicate with Tusken Raiders. That woman comes back. She's there. He's another ally he's got, Those filler episodes had their role, and you can see it in this episode. And so, I like the way this began. Great stuff.
All right. Cheeto?
I like the beginning part when he walks through there and they do that and they do the little action set piece. I mean, that's just a good start off to the season, because you want to see the Mando kicking butt. You want to see him just being savage and just beating the crap out of people. And then he pulled his Batman moment where he's like, "I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you either." And then he turns out the lights and the red-eyed monsters get him. By the way, just to note that we used to always call, we were talking about the Nothing. We used to call a boss of mine back in the day the Nothing. So
why did he always have glowing red eyes?
And like it would come out of her cave whenever,
Oh shit.
Anyway,
I like the failed over the ropes dive as well by the
going back to the great. Going to the Gamorreans,
it's like watching AEW.
Going back to the Gamorreans, or whatever they're called.
That's it, Gamorreans. Thank you.
Okay, well, that's what I know.
With a G. Yeah.
I think it's Gamorreans. But I know what they're going for. Like they're doing everything physically. Oh, well, a lot of things physically, but it took the Gamorrean kind of looked very cheap,
skinny.
Well, and skinny, and I see how they're just like, they're not. I see how they're not. They could be different sizes. I mean, just not all Gamorreans have to be fat. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, I get it, but I'm just like it looked a little low budget to me, and maybe it's just me, and it did ruin the episode for me.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
And I mean, it was funny because I forgot about it right away because it was like, they did like a cross body. Onto
the table.
Yeah, onto the table.
Young Cheeto.
Well, and if anyone remembers Jon Favreau's character on Friends,
the MMA guy, billionaire that went to become an MMA fighter.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like Favreau was like channeling his inner, like whatever that character's name was Friends when he did that.
Yeah.
So apparently, I'm saying hi to everybody.
Yes, I think it's young Cheeto.
I think it is young Cheeto.
Okay. So he goes to Tatooine, and now we're at the point where he goes to this little former or current mining town that has obviously got raided as soon as the Empire fell by these weird toilet seat hat wearing type.
Yeah, that was like. I didn't know how that was going to work.
Yeah, well, the right
killer miners,
or whatever.
Killer miners from outer space.
Yeah, killer miners. And then, of course, Tim Oliphant runs off with some crystals, gets rescued by some Jawas, and inside the Jawa, of course, he trades the crystals for the Mandalorian armor, which happens to be Boba Fett's armor.
Dum dum dum.
Dum dum dum. And then he goes back and he shoots them all, and then he blows them up. And it was a nice little action scene. And some Mandalorian challenges him for the armor. And the next thing you know, we hear a rumble, and I'll leave it there. We'll go into that later. Yeah, go on, Sam.
Well, this episode was redeeming a lot of different characters, and obviously one of them was redeemed hardcore in the Tusken Raiders. But another species of alien got redeemed as well, and that was the Jawas, because when Cobb got rescued by them, they could have just taken his shit and left him to die, but they gave him water and they traded. They saved his fucking life. The Jawas did, and it was good to see
true, rather than just leaving him to rot. Yeah.
And it was really good to see some of these characters that we have a negative opinion of to have some redemption to them and have more to them than meets the eye. These guys are traders first, and I like what I saw regarding the Jawas, and some of that story regarding Cobb, fleeing with a crate full of crystals and stuff like that. Apparently, that story is in the Aftermath books as well. So so they because Cobb Vanth is a character in the Aftermath books.
Okay.
So they're staying true to a lot of the origin, which is very clever, very, very cool. So I liked all of that. I liked him then coming back and shooting in everyone. And when you're wearing that Mandalorian armor, fuck me, you look badass. I mean, even though he didn't fit him properly, he looked badass.
No, but he did not. Because here's the thing I was going to bring up when we got to the armor is it only covers your chest and your head, and if you have the gauntlets. Like, all they had to do was shoot him in the leg. Like, and I feel like they were aiming just for his chest. He got shot in the chest, and it's like, oh, hopefully he doesn't shoot me anywhere else. Like, it's almost like the Captain America thing, where it's like,
just go right under the gut in the balls, and you're done.
I know.
That scene was a bit stupid because obviously he was outgunned, and all those the rest of them ran away into that truck, which was convenient for him to rocket blast, as it shot off. I did find some of that a bit silly, but nevertheless, how he got the armor and stuff like that.
It was rounded off nicely by him just blowing them all up. Rather than letting him get away, it's just like, no, fuck you. And I do like people being ruthless. I can't stand all this. I'm the noble hero. Now I'm gonna just fucking murder you all.
Yeah, no, that's why I was like, oh, is he gonna let him go? And then when the little piece came down, I'm like, oh, he's gonna get him.
Yeah, I was like, yay, blow them all up.
Yeah, and then we enter that thing as well properly. I love it.
And then we enter into Tremors territory now.
Yeah, Graboids.
Tremors in June. With a great big fucking worm that comes and devastates the town, and this kind of sets up the premise for the whole episode.
Guys, it's a land shark.
It's
land shark.
Now, obviously, with this, just not going to go too much into more details. Just want to say that as they go to hunt it down and find out where it lives, we get the Tusken Raiders, and like you said, I love that they kind of got a bit more spotlight here to kind of see what they're like and how they communicate and just a bit of their life, and that they're not just, ruthless savages, because they've had good runs in comic books and things like that, especially in the old expanded universe stuff. I haven't read it all, but yeah, go on, Cheeto.
But I also did love the fact that, and I know this is a little bit further, but I love the fact that he said, yes, they're ruthless and they are, and they're savage, but they also, they've been living here for thousands of years, and this is what they, what they are. Like, I mean, it's I really like the fact that they kind of brought that around rather than just like Anakin. I killed them all, including younglings.
Yeah, exactly. Now, so when they first lure out the worm with the bantha. This was one of my most favorite visual scenes I've seen in like years. Just because they went full widescreen and with the worm coming out, the special effects, the detail. I had goosebumps. The last time I had goosebumps like that was, I think, the Avengers, where Joss Whedon does the one take of them doing a little action scene. And I just absolutely honestly, I was blown away by the visuals. Like, the budget on this thing was amazing. And I hope it's not like use all the budget up for that first episode scene and then everything else is kind of like,
oh, I hope not. That would be
toned down. I really hope not. Just after that, the episode just gets better and better as it goes along. Everyone's working together to take down this beast. They're setting up traps, and just this fantastic action scene against this fucking worm takes place. And honestly, I was just blown away. I think what I like about Favreau, because he directed this episode, what I like about him He doesn't do these annoying shaky cam close up things where you can't see what the hell's going on, which is one of my pet hates with the Russos with their stuff, is that everything was too close to the shaky cam. And, you know, Favreau was more like pulled back and just enjoy the spectacle of them flying around, shooting this thing. And it was just great. It was just a great fucking episode. I'll catch you before, obviously, we finish off on the rest of it. Just get your guys' thoughts on the visuals of this episode and the action scenes that followed. Zam?
Going back to the town, I loved when we just before they had the shoot-off was interrupted by the graboid that came in, and as soon as I saw it, I instantly thought Tremors straight away. Yeah. But when the graboid came out of the sand and got that banter, I then immediately thought to myself, "Fuck me, that's Jaws." You know, and there was a lot of Jaws in this as well. I felt, you know, in this episode, not just Tremors. When they went to that cave to lure the creature out, that was the cave of a Sarlacc. And if you heard, because I watched this twice, the sand, was it a sand dragon? Is that what they call it? That creature?
They called it the sand dragon. Yeah.
That ate the fucking Sarlacc that was living in that cave. So it tells you that what they're dealing with is extremely fucking dangerous. And when it comes out and it eats the guy, when it eats the fucking Tusken Raider, whatever. It also reminded me of the worm that came out of the meteorite in episode 5 of Empire Strikes Back. And stuff like that. And it reminded me of that a little bit. Then it went back in again and stuff like that. So yeah, but it was really cool. I mean, this creature was fucking intelligent, you know, and the visuals regarding as well. I was just blown away. And when I was talking to you on the message, I was thinking to myself, imagine, you know, once this sort of technology can be taken on a more smaller scale and done on smaller budget, this level of filmmaking, you know, the sort of shows we can get in the future on the small screen is just fascinating. You know, but this looks so. Even though I knew they were in a fucking room in a building, it looks so convincing. It was some of the best shit I've ever seen on television. Probably the best shit I've ever seen on television.
Yeah,
amazing, amazing.
I couldn't agree more. Cheeto.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was visually stunning. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, you're right, big budget, but I had the same concerns, Ginger, that you had. Was okay. I mean, I know it's the season premiere, so obviously they're going to put a crap ton into it. But I mean, hopefully this didn't take too much away from the budget of the rest of the show. And honestly, sometimes a lower budget means they need to be more creative and less flashy. So it's like I'm okay with episodes that are lower budget as long as they take the time to make
more creative.
Yeah, as long as they take it to make it more creative. Like I don't have
to interrupt. So I mean, we've seen with so many low budget films what amazing work they've done. Like Deadpool, District 9, things like that. Low budget, but they've been amazingly creative with it. So
well, and then but Deadpool's a great example because I mean, look, the first movie was fantastic, and they had a $30 million budget. It was or something like that. I don't remember what it was.
50,
but it was low, and then
it was low. But then it started
Deadpool
at 80
2,
and it got reduced down to 50.
Yeah, and then Deadpool 2 got like a huge budget, and it just wasn't as good. And you could kind of tell that they were just like, well, we have money, let's spend it, you know. And it's like, but sometimes it's like if it doesn't service the character.
I think the loss of Tim Miller as director as well didn't help.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that one too. But at the same time, it's like sometimes when you throw money at something, you know, that was low budget and now is big budget, it doesn't mean it's going to get better.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but I mean, you know, so I mean, I'm always, you know me, I'm always excited for the lower budget episodes that are more character building. I mean, I love the action. This one was great. I didn't like the fact that we were back on Tatooine. I understand why they were there, and I understand why they went the route they did. So I'm not saying it was like, oh, this is a dumb choice. I just was like, oh, we're not going anywhere new. We're going to Tatooine. And I know we went to a different part of Tatooine, but I knew why they were there. And we'll get to that in the end of the episode. But I know exactly why we were there. So go ahead.
Just a few little tidbits as well for along the way. I mean, we're coming to the end of the episode anyway. But if you notice, the speeder that Tim Oliphant's character was using was one of the engines from the Speed Racer vehicles.
From Anakin. That was Anakin's, I think.
Was it Anakin's one?
I think it was Anakin's. I was looking at that and I'm like, is that Anakin? I'm like, oh.
And that was also R5, the R5 droid, by the way, in back at the hangar.
The R5 droids.
You can see where it was busted before at the back and shit like that. When it
I didn't notice that.
Yeah,
I knew it was the same one. Droid, but I didn't notice.
Yeah, same one. It had all the black at the back of it.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, so that was a nice little touch. And so obviously, they defeat the sandworm and he gets his armor back and off he goes into the sunset. Go on.
I was just about to say, I like the way how they done it, and they showed that this creature, there was more to this creature, and it showed us more to it. Like, for a start, it just came out the fucking rocks. Like, it went up the mountain, so it got the high ground on them, funny enough. I'm not sure if any of you guys
it vomited acid.
And then it vomited acid as well. I love that. I mean, no bullshit here with this episode. We saw people getting stabbed, we saw people getting eaten, see people getting covered in acid. This is what I fucking want, man.
And the animals were just devoured as well. Not trying to save the animals. They were actually sacrificing the panthers in this, which is great.
And then he did a smile. Then he did a smile, you son of a bitch, by sacrificing himself. For that. And then like coming out and hitting the detonator and blowing that shit up, and then the Tusken Raiders have got their fucking pearl, and both communities are living in peace and harmony now, and
they're
it was a great episode.
The meat as well.
He took a large chunk of filet.
Puts a nice chunk of meat.
A nice bit of filet mignon.
I thought that was such a great touch.
I did too. If you guys didn't bring it up, I was going to bring it up. I was like, I love how he took a little bit of the spoils for himself for dinner.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Store that up, freeze dry it, store it up.
And did they find an egg? Did they find an egg in there?
Or was
it...
Yeah. One of them found an egg. I don't know if it was a pearl or an egg.
I was looking at some reviews, and these Sand Dragons have a pearl inside them, which is very sought after. It's like what you'd find in an oyster, but it's
oysters. Yeah, because that's how you make pearls. It's just sand and saliva mixed in.
Yeah, I thought it would have been great if they hatched it and then tried to train it as their own, so then they can, 50 years later they can have this big huge sandworm at their beck and call.
That would be hilarious. It's eating the whole village.
I thought the Tusken Raiders dogs. I thought the Tusken Raider dogs were mini sandworms.
Really?
I thought they were baby sandworms. So
fucking hell, can you imagine? Yeah, and right at the end, as he rides off into the sunset, we get a glimpse of a dark, shadowy figure.
Ooh.
And turns around, and it's Tamura Morrison, aka Boba Fett.
Oh, yeah.
That did put a smile on my face. I'm not going to lie, because it was Tamura Morrison.
Okay, I'll give you that. Okay,
because of that. I personally don't give a flying monkey's ass if Boba Fett is in this or not. I don't care. Yeah. I've never cared for Boba Fett. I like the look of him as a toy. It was great to have as a toy, but he was useless. All right.
He got beat by a blind dude.
He got beat by a blind dude. All right. He got
on accident.
Died like a bitch. Of course, he lived. But it did put a smile on my face, and I am intrigued to see what happens next.
Okay. Honestly, I'd rather.
I just want to add. There was another Boba Fett Easter egg, because when before he got eaten by the sand dragon, the Mandalorian whacked Cobb Vance's fucking pack, and he went flying in the air.
Oh,
and that was a nod. That was a nod.
To
Return of the Jedi. So all of those little things. Seeing him back, I'm very 50-50 on this. I mean, great, they've decided to do this. They're doing this, but they never needed to do this. That's the first thing. They never needed to go down the Boba Fett route. If they're going to do Boba Fett, then give him his own show. But this is felt the whole thing with the Mandalorian felt like a Boba Fett compromise to an extreme that they're actually bringing him on the show. Yeah.
Well, and as I said, I do not want a Boba Fett show. I don't really want him in this. I don't even, honest and truly, I really don't even want an Ahsoka Tano show or an Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah, likewise.
I don't mind if they give her own show, like what happened after she left, whenever she left. Kind of like the Outer Rim, but with a Jedi instead of, before, what was it, A New Hope when she showed? No. When did she show up in Rebels? Rebels is right around A New Hope.
Rebels is it's just before A New Hope.
Okay, so then maybe I don't know. I mean, if they give her Ahsoka Tano her own show, I hope she only shows up for one episode and whatever. Because at that point, Boba Fett, and Ahsoka Tano and all these just feel like fan service, you know. Like,
I want to say this though. Now we've seen Boba Fett, and it's definitely him. It's not fucking Rex or anyone. We saw Rex in Return of the Jedi, for fuck's sake. So it's not Rex, yeah. So it's definitely 100% Boba Fett. But now they need to give us at least one Boba Fett centric episode about how the fuck he got out of that goddamn Sarlacc pit, because he's now guaranteed canon that he's alive. And I really need to fucking know, and just to cover all those bases, that one dedicated episode of him getting out there and how the fuck he's ended up there and why his arm is over there.
I'm sure they'll do a flashback. When he features in the episode, I'm sure it will start with a flashback.
Well, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be at least in the first couple, as an overlapping person in the first couple episodes. Like,
I think... Yeah.
Maybe
I think personally he needs to be given his due and given a whole episode. Personally, you know,
that's what I mean. He's going to be an overarching villain throughout this whole thing.
No, but in the sense that his own centric episode, but we do get that with villains in other shows, you know, how they came to be and shit like that. And I think someone like Boba Fett definitely deserves, on this show, The Mandalorian, one episode about him from the moment he got eaten and onwards.
It takes a break from everything else.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah,
I don't mind those episodes. If they if they reinvent Boba Fett and maybe make him, it's been a long time.
Anti-hero him. Do not.
No. I'm not talking anti-hero. I'm not talking anti-hero. I'm just talking like reinvent him as, so like he kind of gives up the armor, because a lot of people think in secular circles that Boba Fett's a Mandalorian. No, he wears Mandalorian armor. He probably gave up that armor. He's like, it's great armor, but it's a good trophy, but he probably gave it up because he needed to survive. And he's like, well, what the heck? I might as well just trade this for food and water or whatever. Maybe he that's how the Jawas got it. Is he?
Traded his armor. Jawas. Yeah, but Boba Fett's got the cunning to get the fuck off that planet, man. I mean, he's not a fucking.
Or maybe he didn't want to.
Yeah, and that's another thing as well. But there's another fan theory as well that apparently maybe he gave up the life and shit. He's just a hermit living on fucking Tatooine.
No, man, walking.
Yeah,
the planet, but walking Tatooine.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of theories, and obviously I think those will get answered this season. But don't fucking tease us. And now we've got him. Don't tease us him and delay this tease any longer. I mean, I do believe the Ahsoka Tano will arrive at episode 5. That's my theory, because that's the episode Dave Filoni's directing. And considering he created Ahsoka Tano, it would seem ideal for him to direct that episode, because he knows the character best, but his invention.
Yeah.
So that's when I think she'll come. But regarding Boba Fett, he needs to. We need to establish him now. You put him in now. I want more of him in episode 2.
Well, I just hope that the Mandalorian does not get bogged down with Iron Man 2-itis, where it's like you're trying to cram all of these things from this universe into the show, and it takes away from the show. Like,
I don't think it will, because Jon Favreau obviously soured his experiences with the Marvel Universe because of what they tried to do with Iron Man 2, the producers at the time, which is why he never returned for the third one. It just stayed on as Hogan.
Happy. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, Happy. Yeah, Happy Hogan.
Yeah, Happy. Did I say Hogan? Happy Hogan. Yeah, it is Happy
Hogan. Happy Hogan.
You're right.
Either way, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I'm right. Yeah. I'm hoping. Yeah, it's just but also I don't want too many filler episodes either. I want to progress the story with the child, and then hopefully by the end of season 2, which is not going to happen because the child has just become centric to the show. I hope by the end of it, it's just like, there you go, off you go to your people.
This episode is a filler episode, though. You would say that, though, wouldn't you?
Not really. It felt it does feel like a filler episode, but not really.
Because it was a tiny bit. Go to Tatooine, and then he does something else on Tatooine. He doesn't do what he's supposed to do.
Well, no, he doesn't find the Mandalorian, but he sees the armor, and he's he has to, by honor, return Mandalorian armor to his people, and obviously get sidetracked with something else. So at least the whole time there was at least the premise there. That's in continuity. Is like, okay, the whole point of this is to get that Mandalorian armor. Other than, I suppose to say, the one episode where in season 1 where they went to that planet and they fought like the ATST and a couple of raiders and that episode.
The Star Trek episode.
Yeah,
that was very Trekky.
Yeah. So
No, go on.
Oh, but I also like the fact that at the end of the episode that he took the Like, I was afraid that the Mandalorian was going to be like, he
keep it.
He said, no, I'll go ahead and keep it because you need to protect your people. Like, I feel like it was more.
I expected that
to take it.
I expected him not to take it. So when he did take it, I was like, whoa, this is quite cool.
Yeah, it's good like that.
Yeah, I like that. But you almost expected it to be cliched.
But that's what's good with Favreau, though. Favreau does kind of like to keep to laws as much as he can and not sidetrack. He's quite good like that because he's a fan, isn't it? So it was good. Nobody else told him no, let him have it in like honor and all that pish. So yeah.
And now Boba Fett's focus is on the Mando because he's got the fucking armor.
Now on the Mandalorian.
What about? But I thought this season was going to be more about Carlo Esposito's character. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like we've done a hard right on because I mean they teased at the end that Carlo Esposito. I was more looking forward to seeing more Carlo Esposito. I didn't care about Boba Fett.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get him in episode 2. Like we get more Carlo Esposito.
Another thing, we got a 50-minute episode, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, well said.
Yeah, 50 minutes, and you can see like how good and how you pad out an episode well, like you padded out this one.
Well, the pacing was really good. The pacing was really good because it was 50 minutes. Yeah, and that's every episode should be 50 minutes, 48 minutes because it had a 2-minute recap. But if you aim for 50 minutes, then that's just beautiful.
I mean, an episode just needs to be as long as it needs to be, and I felt like this one was what it needed to be, like for beginning to end.
It moved along really, really well, and it flew by. Like 50 minutes just flew by because it was so engrossing.
Mm-hmm. It felt like a Mandalorian movie. I mean, I was like, because especially when those bars went up, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that was great.
I'm like,
and then they come back down when he rides off.
We saw is it called a Wai Kwei, the bartender? And by the way, he was also in Deadwood.
Wai Kwei,
yeah, Wai Kwei. And the last time we saw one of those in live action was in Return of the Jedi. When they were Return of the Jedi. So it was really good to see another one in live action again. And and like I love the fact that everyone had Southern accents as well. They didn't try to mask the Western vibe, when he was riding in, and it felt like High Plane Drifter. It felt like all of the Pale Rider. It felt like all of these.
A Brave Star.
Yeah, all of these.
Star.
Yeah, all of that. Like I loved it. It never, they never tried to sway it away from it at all. This is Western, 100% Western. Yeah. And it went with tropes galore of two factions who are at odds and are coming together to fight a greater good and stuff like that. But when tropes are done well, and you lay it with Star Wars, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, agreed. All right.
Bob,
go on, just one last thing. So, I mean, they're on Tatooine. We're probably going to see Ming-Yang Wei again because didn't Boba Fett?
Corpse.
No, didn't Boba Fett go and get her at the end of the episode first season?
Oh, yeah, that would have been him that saved her.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that since we heard the spurs that everybody was talking about, I thought it might have been this guy since he has the armor. But I mean, honestly, I wouldn't put it past him to have. So maybe like Ming-Yang Wei is like hit Boba Fett. I think Boba Fett's like the new Jabba the Hutt on Tatooine. I really do. I think Ming-Yang Wei is going to be like his enforcer.
That'll be interesting.
It could be Cad Bane as well. We might even get a live action Cad Bane.
Yeah,
that would be really good as well. Yeah, that'd be
great. Yeah, cool. All right, let's wrap this up. Let's not go on too long. So join us next week. Well, we will, of course, be talking about episode 2. Every week, we'll be talking about The Mandalorian. And also join the guys for Star Trek videos as well, which they do. Is it weekly reviews you guys do?
We're doing weekly reviews at Discovery, and we're doing some stuff in midweek as well regarding Star Trek when it comes to fan shows, fan-made films and stuff like that, and talking about them and taking the piss out of them as well as praising them.
Nice. All right, well, join them all for that, and thank you all for coming.